you cut them out all the same size, but then they go through the get wet and change shape and sizes, and then they don't all fit back together, and it gets all crazy. So just trying to keep everything nice and lined up and using the interlining. I have a guide to follow, but Bernie Davis, caramel. This stuff smells so good. Like burning starch when you're ironing, it's just like one of those sweet smells that it just kind of has a, reminds me of candy. I don't know. I enjoy that caramel smell when you're burning sugars of the starch. Yeah. I tried buying more spray starch, but the store was all out. So I used the good kind of just pure, the blue bottle starch, where it's just straight up concentrated starch. And instead of diluting at 50%, I did 1/2 a cup of starch and a 1/4 cup of water. So it was not quite 100% and it wasn't a 50-50 mixture. But yeah. So today I am working on the accessories for Ty Lee. I have to make her yoke collar, and I'm making that as a separate piece just because that's kind of how I imagine it. And I may do her cuffs. And yeah. But my goal today is to get this collar done. And I'm just trying to take my time slowly. Yeah. Brittany Davis, you can say that, Felicia, is the Iron Woman, LOL. Yeah, if you press as you sew, your stuff turns out so much better, so it's worth it. Yeah. Yanalith, where is Toby? Oh, it's like, get along, you crazy kid ritters. Where'd Spooky go? Alright, I have no idea where Spooky's hiding, but Bruno's behind me hiding all in shame, like he feels really bad about what just happened. And Toby is out in the living room by the fire because it is lovely there. And he'd rather be there than here right at the moment. Although I have a feeling he's going to come knocking on the door when he realizes that I'm not out in the living room. So Austin Lips is going to North Carolina, bad at spelling on PlayStation 4. So where are you going in the summertime? I don't know. The beach? Who knows this year? Like, I had plans this year and they've already gotten changed, so we'll see. Yeah. This is still really damp because I soaked it in the starch and then I squoze it out the best that I could. But it will get really crunchy and it'll hold its shape so much better, and I think it'll give the look of her collar. Dan Does Junk says, just added some custom vinyls to part of my suit, including a custom designed one that I posted on Discord. Oh yeah, is that like part of the face? I saw that you had made him smirk, but I don't know if I saw the other. Yeah. Vinyl would have been a good option for... No, I wanted it to stretch. At the end of the day, I wanted it to stretch. Okay. This one just sit here for a second. This one. So you smoosh it and you smoosh it and you smoosh it, and it slowly gets crunchier and crunchier and crunchier. I am aiming for a soft cardstock, like a lightweight cardstock. I kind of want it to be nice and crunchy, like a piece of paper. Like I could crease it if I wanted to, but I don't want to crease it because I know it'll stiffen as it will like come less and less stiff. But anyways, it's a nice cool iron. It's not a hot iron, so it just takes longer. And it's not a heavy iron. Heavy irons are nice because you can just use the weight of them to really press things. But I like this little one. It's my favorite. Okay. Let me these up here. And I'm going to start with the crunchy ones that I already ironed. I'm going to sew these two together as if they're one piece and pretend they're one piece of fabric, like I did for the lining of the interlining and the lining of the yoke of the pants. So I'm like, this is both, they're both technically yokes, but so I'm going to pin these together and treat them as if they're one piece of fabric. I am going to sew this whole piece. I think I'm going to sew my shoulder seams together first. No. I'm trying to think. There's a million ways to do this, and it's like a puzzle. There's so many different ways you can put these puzzle pieces together, but then it's like, how do you want them to fit to the next puzzle piece? Actually, I think I'm going to sew it like this. All right, right sides of the two burgundy, well, mauve pieces together. And the white is going. These two are lining up perfectly. I am going to make sure that this one is too. Okay, Bernie Davis says I need to order a custom flight suit from Mongolia Clothes, but they don't have any size charts. I don't know my measurements. Okay. They don't have any size charts to give you an idea of what a large is, because I generally, a 44 chest is generally a size large when it came to suits at the costume shop. And then I could kind of tell you. What's crazy is you can get a lot of the measurements for menswear off of the neck measurement. It's crazy how much those correlate with all the other sizes. You know, where you can try the size of your pants on around the waistband of your neck. It really works, strangely, very much, including your shirt size. Your shirt size with the neck size, those often correlate. When they don't, then you have really a hard time finding clothes that fit. But yeah. Smash the pieces with the hammer. Just kidding. No, just smoosh them. Because you don't want it to all twist funny. You really don't. To lay as nicely as I can. because these still are drapey loose fabrics, and if this ever washes out, I don't want it to pull funny. I want it to just press back together. Okay, so that's 1/2. I'm going to sew, I think I'm going to sew around the neckline and the hem, leaving the 2 shoulder seams open, and then flip the tubes open. I could sew one side and do the other side different so that it flips, but I think I'm just going to sew them straight at the shoulder seams and then probably stitch that excess seam allowance down so it can add more structure. I think that's what I'm going to try. We'll see if it works out. If not, I have a seam ripper, and we'll try something else. Austin loves, we the family are going in the summertime. Sorry about, that's what I meant to say. Oh, nice. I haven't, I was gonna try and go to Disneyland this year. See if that, if I can make that happen. Maybe not the summertime. I'm just gonna press this one more time. Because this is the side that wasn't fully finished and I think it could use it. Together. See, this one's much more drapey than the other one because it still has moisture in that starch. I'm just going to press it one last time with all the layers together. All right. Danta's junk. I really. Danta's junk says my electronics class started. That's awesome. Again, so live streams may not happen for some time. Oh, that sucks. Yanala. Okay, guess talk about Transformers. Yeah, this really is not a hot iron at all. I just want it to sit and press. I suppose I could put the clapper on, but not that big a deal. Pin this one. Oh, hi, Spooky. There you're hiding. All right, I think I'm going to sew them with the white side up. Because I think the white lining covers more of the pink. But I don't know. We'll see. I am going to do a stretch stitch along the hem, a zigzag stitch around the neckline so that I can add to the stretchiness of the whole thing. So I think that's going to be my game plan. I really don't like the finished look of a zigzag stitch, but this is going to be fully encapsulated, so we won't even see it. And yeah, I want as much stretch in that neck seam as I can because, like I said, I want to try and not have to do any zippers or buttons or snaps or Velcro or other kind of closures to get in and out of it. I would prefer it just to stretch. And stretch knits have that kind of recovery, so it should be perfectly possible. So that's why I'm going to try and do the zigzag, just to add to the amount of stretch factors in there. One more pin. Okay. I feel like I'm making a little Batman symbol, but it's a little birdie. Every time I look at it, it's a little. But anyways, start with this one. He's sitting on a pin. Something. Alright, let's do stitch number 4, which is our zigzag stitch. And we'll do a wide but short zigzag with a neckline. Okay. If I do a narrower seam allowance, I won't have to trim my excess or cut wedges out of it, but if I do it slightly wider, I think I'm going to do it narrower and cover as much of the seam allowance as I can with the zigzag stitch because I want it to stretch. That's my game plan. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, I'll change my game plan, but I'm going to keep it narrow, do that curve with the zigzag stitch close to the edge. Okay, that'll turn nicely. And then I'm going to do my stretch straight stitch 39. Add a longer seam allowance for, so I sewed the zigzag stitch here, and I'm going to do the stretch stitch along this whole edge, leaving my shoulder seams both open, so it's going to make kind of a tube. All right. That's not good. All right, I'm just going to do this side because you can see it. I'm going to make sure I end up right at the end nicely. So the neckline part, I'm not going to trim, but I have these curves right here that I am going to trim because it really will make everything nicer if I do. So when the concave part of the curves flip inside out, they're going to need the pie wedges, and when the convex part of the curve, it's going to need little slits. I used to just do pie wedges all the time because it worked for both, but it's easier to do the slices. So this part of the curve, I did little wedges so that when it turns, and this part of the curve, I did little wedges so that when it turns, and then this part of the curve, I did little slits so that it can spread when it's flipped. I'm going to do that on the other side. Went through all that effort to put that little bit of a curve into the yoke. I want to be able to see it. All right, not bad. This neckline curve turned nicely. It did not fight me on that. I can press that easily. Okay, not bad. I will definitely have to press that, and then I'm going to top stitch it, but I want to stick it to, I want to sew this one to that point first. So I'm just turn my machine off and on again. Get back to the default settings. I'm going to go to stitch 4. Okay. Interesting. I always thought, okay, so the word Georgette is a type of fabric. A gourd is a kind of insert. And a gorget, I haven't really heard that term very often to talk about that shoulder piece. I often call them clamshells. Thank you, Yana Lith. Yana Lith says technically that's called a Georgette, yet some may argue that it's a metal or leather piece of armor, but anything that wraps around your neck because a poncho. Interesting. Would cover your torso. The more you know. I'll have to look into that. Dan Does Junk, do you know what day you'll be wearing this cosplay? You probably mentioned it in the past streams, but I forget. I actually don't know. I haven't thought about it. Like, I was thinking about it and I wasn't sure. Because, I don't know yet. I don't know that. I could either do it the first day, second day, or the third day. I have no idea. I haven't decided what yet. Maybe Friday I'll do Wednesday. Because she's born on Friday the 13th, but named Wednesday. And I love it. And then I guess Saturday I could do this one. And then Sunday I could do Katra because Katra has crazy hair. And yeah, I think that's probably the order I'll do it. I'll do Wednesday on Friday, Tylee on Saturday, and Katra on Sunday. But yeah, as of right now, that's what I just decided. We'll see. Okay. Bernie Davis. All the days. Well, it is a comfortable one. You guys can't see the storm, but it's like shaking the windows right now. It blew over my outdoor furniture. It's crazy. I am so glad that I am nice and warm and toasty in here. Not gonna lie. Okay. I'm going to press this one before I flip this one because I did the zigzag slightly tighter together and it rumpled it slightly, so it's not completely flat. It's a little bit up. So I'm just going to press it and then I'll flip it. It'll turn out much nicer if I do. I know, lots of ironing today. It's going to be a nice, like, it's just going to be a lot of ironing today because I am using a lot of starch. I could have interfaced this with something stiffer of a fabric, but I wanted to keep the stretch in there. And yeah. Okay, let me see. Eonolith, Episigns, the Scenes, Fashions. Okay. Dandus Junk says, maybe Joe would like to kit bash our Gundams. He probably would, you know. It's always fun to play giant Gundams with friends. I'm not gonna lie. And put on different parts of each other's, make a Frankenstein, like Bumblebee, Scorpion, just a mix of all the different pieces. Yanalith, here you go, Felicia. Here, the Merriam-Webster. Nice. I've been calling it a yoke because typically, like, a yoke of a garment is this part of it, and it just reminds me of a yoke. It's also kind of it's a collar, but knowing what to call things is half the battle, so you can look them up. This one was still a little damp, so that's why I'm like extra ironing it, because the other one was crunchy and had been for a while. This one I was doing right before the stream. Seriously, it gives me Batman vibes every time I look down. Bernie Davis, when I hear yoke, I think of a horse's collar. That's exactly what it's supposed to be. Why it's called a yoke is because it's based off of a horse's collar. It goes over the shoulders. So on a men's shirt, the part that usually that's right here in the back half of the top that there's usually gathers or pleats into, that's called the yoke. But it's based off of the thing that you put on the horses. And that's why that's just the name that I keep calling it in my head. Young says it's pretty dark. I can't see it. Yeah, you guys just see the light reflecting in the background. So, but it is crazy out there. I am very glad to be in here. Yana says I'm very technical when this type of stuff comes up. That's really nice. It really does help to know what to name things, what to call things to help you find them, look at them, and also share them. Because sometimes naming it's half the battle. I'm looking for this thing, and what is it called? Oh, I know what that's called. And then you have a Googleable term, and then. But then also you have to think about, okay, well, this is what I would call it or what the technical term is. But if I'm trying to find this on Amazon, they're probably just going to call it a Ren or a pirate shirt, you know? Not this, but you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I understand. I'm pre-smooshing it open before I add the heat. Okay. This one a little sharper. Oh, nice. Yolo says, because I'm massively into armor and stuff because I want to get into LARPing. That sounds like fun. I always wanted to do that. I did research for a small independent film once where they were doing a story about a boy who was LARPing. And it was really fun. I was like, ooh. Weird projects, not gonna lie. Austin Litz says, I really want to see the Golden Gate Bridge one day. It was built in 1933 and opened in 1937. Lots of rivets and cables and old vibe construction of it. Old worker called it a riveter's paradise. I've seen the Golden Gate Bridge many a times. My favorite view of it was from. So James used to own the costume shop that I worked at. Me and him went to visit one of the ladies who used to work at the costume shop. She had gotten a job in San Francisco working for, I want to say Gap. Their something line. Anyways, we got to go up into their headquarters and have lunch with her. And sitting up on the top of their building, it overlooked the Golden Gate Bridge, and it was so gorgeous. I felt so spoiled at that moment. It was really fun. But yeah, I like the Golden Gate Bridge. It is very San Franciscan. And I used to make a point to go take the Golden Gate Bridge at least in or out of the city. But now it's just I got whatever's the least traffic. This is looking really pretty if I don't top stitch it, but I know it'll be even prettier if I do top stitch it. But she doesn't have top stitching drawn in, so part of me just doesn't want to, but you really can't see, and I did it to the flappy leg thing, so I'm definitely going to do it to this yoke. But I do appreciate how it's ironing nicely. Yes, Bernie Davis, it's the bridge from Full House. Yep. Do I have your clapper? I do. Give me 1 second. This is going to make life a little nicer. Ta-da! My nice fancy tailor clapper. It's a fancy block of wood that you put on your ironing as you're ironing to do this for you as you're pressing. It just makes if you're using a really hot iron, I use this, but when it's a cool iron, I usually get lazy, but these things really do hold everything nice and flat. So this lovely collar versus this one that I haven't ironed yet. This one's all fluffy. This one's nice and flat, except for, let me just, it was flat and then I smooshed it. It's okay though. Okay. To the side, get this one. Yana says, I got a picture taken by my aunt and uncle of me in front of the fountain that Married with Children. And it's no lie that Chicago is the Windy City. Interesting. I've never been to Chicago. I have friends there. The Windy City. It is windy tonight. I'm not used to this much wind. Interesting. My middle school was used for the Chris Rock movie, Head of State, and we had both Tim Allen and Christy Alley were there filming the Amish movie for Richer for Poor. Interesting, Bernie Davis. That's cool. Ah, stupid cord. It's annoying me. there. It's so beautiful. I love traveling. I will eventually. That one, I think, could easily make my bucket list. So my next plan is to sew the shoulder seams. I'm going to sew them right sides together. I know there's no technical right side, but there's one where there's the white lining is closer to that edge and the fold is in between that one and the other side. So that's going to be my right side. And I'm going to put my wrong sides together, sew the wrong sides together, and then I'm going to flip them right sides together and sew them like that. And then I'm going to fold that placket over and stitch it down so that I have a welt on my shoulder seams. And it's technically a French seam or a mock French seam. And I think that will, it's amazing how nicely this piece of wood works. I love it. But that's my plan. I plan on doing the shoulder seams, wrong sides together, flip them right sides together, and then stitch the welt down. And then I'll go through and top stitch the whole entire okay. Okay. They would, Austin Note says they would throw a hot rivet and all. Yes, it is amazing that that Golden Bridge is still there and still as awesome as ever. I definitely appreciate it. Okay. So wrong sides together, which would be this side and this side. Trim this. All right. This might be a lot of fabric. There's a lot of layers going through this. And I'm going through double seam allowances. We'll see how this goes. Hopefully it'll go fine, right? Right. Let me increase the stitch length. Do I want that much bulk added into there? I don't think I do, to tell you the honest truth. What if I finish my seams? I didn't count on these seams being so bulky. And I really don't. I know I can trim out a lot of this bulk, but once I flip it the other way, I've just quadrupled everything. And I don't like how that looks. I think I'm trying to think of how I want to finish this seam because we're actually going to see the seam. And I don't want it sticking out. You know what? I'll trim the excess seam allowance and then I'll just stitch it down. But let me do it right sides together instead of wrong sides together like I just did. Because I want it the other way. And just because I sewed one seam doesn't mean I'm stuck with what I just did. So, don't worry, I'm just live ripping this out because it would be better if I did it a different way than what I was originally thinking. Now that I realized how much bulk was going through that machine. This stuff gets really bulky really quick. You think, oh, it's just really lightweight fabric, and then you add 1, 2, 3, 6 layers in there, and then you're like, dang, it's getting really thick. It's like you can only fold a piece of paper 7 times, no matter what size it is. Start adding fabric layers in there, it just gets bulky quick. Okay. Yana says, I'm going to eventually make a leather Georgette, but not right now because it's expensive to buy leather. Yes, it is, but you know cheap sources of leather? Ugly couches, ugly coats, ugly leather things that are from decades in the thrift store. The uglier the thing, the cheaper the leather, but you get good big giant pieces from it. And it's hard for me to think that things are ugly, but yeah. Purses also are a good source of leather. Yes, I often go to get my leather sourced from a thrift store because it's significantly cheaper than buying it by the pelt. Or like I have a good hookup here in Sacramento of where I can get fairly inexpensive. You know, it's not like ridiculously expensive to get the leather, but first I source secondhand leather. Ethically, I think it's better to do it that way. And also when you're working with like a leather couch, if you can dump the rest of the stuff at the dump, I suppose. It's you get giant sheets that have been pre-matched to each other and then also worn, which is really nice. So I always keep an eye out for a good deal. Put the right sides of the together. There. Just thread out. We're just live. What could possibly go wrong? I figure y'all are seeing the process for better, for worse, you know. I make mistakes and it is perfectly human. I laugh with used to work with Yelenia, and this lady, she's been sewing since she was a child in a whole nother country, and she now she laughs because she's like, we make the same stupid mistakes and we laugh about them because she's like, oh my gosh, I just did that last week. Because remember how I was telling you that you have to be careful that it can change the shade of your fabric? Well, dealing with 50 Shades of White. Oh my gosh. All these little things really matter. Okay. Let me make sure my right sides are together. Just like this. And how I know my right sides, it's the piece that's closer to the white piece. You'll feel it, or you can feel it. All right, pin these. Yeah, I am just going to stitch it, and then I'm going to trim the excess and fold it towards the back. Bernie Davis's chairs on the side of the road. Oh. Yanela says, but I don't want it worn. Okay, want a non-worn piece of leather. Okay. All right, right sides are together. I'm going to start from the... I don't care. I'm just going to start from the inside and go out. It's a little hard getting this started because I'm starting on the seam allowance part, which is all 6 layers of fabric doubled. So I'm at 12 layers, and that is it. Because there's 1, 2, 3, 6, and then they're folded over on each other. That's 12 layers, yeah. It's okay. Just take it slowly till you get past it. How did that get flipped open? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to trim this all down and then fold it over and stitch it. So when I say trim it all down, see how many layers of fabric there are in that? There's 6 here, 12 at the seam allowances. That's a lot of fabric right there to even try and press open. It's too bulky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out this interlining piece because that's the heaviest piece that is making the seam ridiculous. This one right here, this layer. I'm going to cut it out of both of them, trim that down, and then Bruno's snoring. You guys totally can't see it, but Bruno's right there, completely asleep and spooky. You guys wouldn't be able to see even if I moved this. Yeah, he is a disappearing act, but that's him right. Anyways, he's all comfortably asleep right here, and they are both snoring. It's funny. Bernie Davis says you can go the cheap rope and use vinyl or pleather. And I'd also add foam into that configuration because foam can come out to be a very nice leather-like appearance to it. Just trimming out the excess. Okay, let me do this side and then actually I'll press it. Yeah, it'll be better if I press it to one side for that too. All right, I'm going to do this on the top. I'm going to top stitch this all towards one side because I have a straight line to follow that's nice and clean, and I'm going to stitch all my seam allowances down on one side. And I am just going to use a regular straight stitch. This is not going to be stretchy or stretched out of all the seams. And I'm going to do a straight stitch all the way around. Alright. Getting started is the hardest part because that's where the knot is. Let me just pull those. Thought I picked out all the little threads from the first that I ripped out, but I see a little bit got stuck in that seam. Okay, let me trim these threads. And press it right here. Let me do this side now. Alright. Let me trim out this excess fullness, so I'm cutting out the white lining out of my seam allowances. Okay. Bernie Davis, dogs and cats sleeping together? Mass hysteria, LOL. Yeah. Yeah, Toby, Bruno, Spooky, they all love each other. Before I had Bruno and Spooky, I had a guinea pig named Hamster, and Toby he used to cuddle with him. That was his little buddy. Oh, I miss that guy. He got a cold. Ah. To focus on what I'm doing, and I don't want to. I want to do it distracted. Okay, it's one. Interesting. I did not cut myself the monolith. I just was trying not to cut the other fabrics. Okay. Alright, I got all of that out of there. I'm going to press the seam closed first. And then I'm going to press it open into the side. And then I'm going to sew this seam top stitch towards the back to hold all the seam allowance towards the back. And then after that, I'm going to do a top stitch all the way around the hem. Wasn't sure I wanted to cut that much off, but I did. I really did. Okay. Do this from the top. All right. All right. These corners aren't my favorite, but I'm trimming down. Okay. Covered in all these teeny tiny threads. And I have a collar that's on backwards. I'm done. I think this is very nice. Okay, could be a little bigger. But I think honestly proportional to what she does, it's fine. So let me do the top stitching. Rainy Davis, get the band-aids. I'm not cutting myself, I promise. I promise. Ace, focus. Hi everyone. Hi Ace, welcome. Yes. Okay. Top stitching. Should I do a fancy top stitch? No. No fashion. No, fancy top stitch. I'm just going to do a regular top stitch. Boy. So I started and ended on center front, but luckily I matched up right at the point. It's smarter to start at the shoulders, so if you mess up and it doesn't line up. Let's see what it looks like. So if I attach it here and here, I'm happy with that. Do, 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 do. Okay, right on Fashion Guru. um, James Allen says I'm hand stitching the whole puppet. Oh my gosh, I hand stitched a bunch of that Krusty doll, and that guy fought me on every dang stitch. His little hands had little fingers, and all the stitches always got stuck on them, and his little teeth that are all sharp. Like every stitch as I pulled it through would get stuck in his hands and teeth. And I'm like, you are just laughing at me while I'm sewing you. And he was really evil to sew, and it was kind of enjoyable. Bernie Davis says, I might have to reupholster my armchair because my corgi likes chewing on it. I know the feeling, but they look so comfortable. All right, so I have my bodice done. I have my collar done. I have my pants done with the skirt. So now all I need are the cuffs. And I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do that. I don't know. Let me try it. I'll figure it out. Okay. Let me. Bless you, Bruno. Alright, gotta set my stitch before I forget about it. I'm gonna do the stretch stitch on these because it may need more stretch than I'm willing to give it. Okay. A says, anything I need sewn has to be done by hand. I have a brother sewing machine but can't figure out how to load the bobbin. The machine just sits there mocking me. I know the feeling. It's that dang bottom bobbin. Does it remove? Is it one of those removable ones that you have to take out and then put in? Because I absolutely hate those because they have to get like fine-tuned. And then they work great, but I like the ones where it's just a top loading bobbin and you don't have to try and... I feel your pain. Have been there. Oh, yes, it is one of those Yeah, I like the top loading bobbins. This one has a top loading bobbin. I just make sure that it's unwinding the correct way, drop it in, and then pull it through, and we're on. Like, I don't stress out over the bobbin. But in college, we had Berninas with that front loading bobbin, and they eventually got to a point where they had us each buy our own. Is it a bobbin shuttle? Anyways, they had us buy those little pieces for the sewing machine, and I would just bring. This is actually the sewing machine that I had. Not this particular one. I had this model during college, and I would just, it's lightweight. I would just bring it to school, throw it in the backseat of my car. I abused the heck out of it. So when I had to buy a new sewing machine, I was going to get a really, really nice knee knocker sewing machine, but this one was way. So in 2020, sewing machine prices skyrocketed right when both my sewing machines broke down. And I waited till this hit the price point that I was willing to pay for it, because it skyrocketed to, like, I saw it for $600 to $700 for this version of the sewing machine, and when I bought it for college, it was only $200, and I'm like, I'm not spending over $200, and I got it for $175. When it went that low, it's like, okay, I'm gonna get that sewing machine, but if the things are expensive and they haven't gotten cheaper, so I will only upgrade if I get a knee knocker. And what I mean by a knee knocker is the sewing machines that have that little spot for a knee knocker in it that you use your knee to lift and put down the presser foot. We had those at work, and I definitely got in that weird habit, and I start imaginary knee knocking, like, and there's nothing there. I'm like, ah, but I've gotten out of that habit. Um, My 80-year-old mother who sews all the time couldn't figure it out. Your tension's probably off or something's bent. Yeah. 870 Polo says boycott but price gouging. Honestly, it's like, I know what I want to pay for what I want to get. Like, it's not worth it to spend. So sewing machines, like, they're all, like, the bottom of the line ones are all kind of within the same quality, but I would pay that little bit extra for two things: computerized and top loading bobbin. That underloading bobbin, I just won't want to bother with a sewing machine, because that just adds a level of, this is going to get screwed up. I know it's not that crazy, but I don't like those type of sewing machines. I will use an industrial sewing machine that has those, but I prefer the top loading bobbins out of pure easiness, and I like the computerized ones. I do not like dial ones. Like, I don't want to get a sewing machine that has the dials where I have to fine tune each of my stitches. I just want to go beep, 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 this stitch, beep, 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 that stitch, and just be able to change my settings. And then also, if I get, like, lost as I don't know where I'm at, off and on again, back to straight stitch. And I know it's the straight stitch that works on most, like, fabrics. So, like, that's the kind of the price point that I'm willing to go to, and that's like the $200 range. It shouldn't be more than that. It really. But then the next price point jump of what I would be willing to spend on a more expensive sewing machine is for the knee knocker. But then that goes into the $1,000 sewing machines. And then I'm looking for certain stitches. I'm looking for self-threading, top-loading bobbin, computerized, and what embroidery stitches it has. Because if I'm setting that price point, I want all of those things. But, like, in order to get a good knee knocker, you're going up into that kind of price point for sewing machines. Anyways, I have opinions on these things, that's for sure. Yeah. And vintage sewing machines don't always sew modern fabrics nicely. So a good old vintage sewing machine, even though it's still running in a rock, it may just struggle on the knits that I like to stretch to sew with a lot. So 'tis what it is. Um, um, Brittany Davis says an old-fashioned pedal-powered sewing machine. Yeah, those things are great, but there is a limitation to them. Like my dad had one of those old ones that was a pedal powered one, but it was like a really, really heavy duty industrial one meant for leather. And like the person he got it from used it to sew upholstery for car seats, um, custom car seats. Starting on the seam allowance, got to get past that. But I never actually sewed with that one myself. I just always looked at it as a kid and I was fascinated with it. James Allen says, I have 2 sewing machines but prefer sewing by hand. They're just places where it's more applicable. There are like long seams that are straight. Why do those by hand? Sewing machine, you're done. But sometimes I might fight with my sewing machine. Well, like I think it's only going to take me a second to sew it, but then it takes me a half an hour just figuring out what's going on with my machine. Why isn't it threaded correctly? Which stitch am I supposed to use? And I might as well have just stitched it by hand. But been there, done that. And I definitely pick my battles. Ace says, I'll just ship it out to you, have you fix it, and have it shipped back. We'll just go get it serviced. Do you have a machine service place in your area? Oh, I'm stuck on a thread. And I have a cuff. I have to trim my threads. But, yay, cuffs. And I can scrunch it. This goes back to my gymnastics days. We used to have to get the 3-inch sweatbands so that we could do the strap bar, where you strap your hands looped into the bar. And because I could always find the little 2-inch ones, but finding the 3-inch ones was really hard. But then I found a whole bunch of them right before I quit. Iana Lifts gives everyone a hug. Hugs. Who was that guy in your earlier stream attempt? Do not mind the person behind the screen. They prefer to just be anonymous. But that is the Witcher we got at home, okay? Ace, never thought of that. I'll have to check. Yeah, no, if your sewing machine's selling like crap, take it in to get serviced. They'll tell you what's wrong with it. And they may fix it. And you might go, it's cheaper to fix it or it's cheaper to just get a new sewing machine. Because if it's $80 to fix it and you like your sewing machine, it's worth it. If it's like $120, go get a new one. You know? Bernie Davis, get a great workout with the old-fashioned type. I don't like the old-fashioned sewing machines for one specific reason. Like those really cute vintage ones that are all the orange and blue and my favorite colors, and I've had several of them. They don't sew modern fabrics. Modern fabrics hate those sewing machines. They just get stuck in the bobbin. I don't know how to fully explain it to you. They are very difficult to work with modern fabrics, where a new sewing machine, you're not going to hit those same issues that you have with the vintage. Vintage, I mean 1960s, 1950s, 60s, maybe the 70s, but 80s, you're fine. 80s on, you're fine. Like my mom's old Kenmore, that thing is still a beast. She's like got a new one of the 80s Kenmore that she loves. And Kenmore is now Janome. But yeah. Vizak, welcome. H Seminole Polo says a confusing answer. Yes, I'm sorry. They didn't want to be on air and they were just trying to help me. Okay, that's a sharp outfit, Felicia. Careful, you could puncture the hull of an Empire-class Fire Nation battleship and leave 1,000 to drown at sea because it's so sharp. I love it. I love it. Yeah, this one's like the colors are not quite right. The Dusty Rose should have probably been what I used for the coral, and I should have gotten a burgundy, but this was, I spent 8, 9, 10, 11, $12 on fabric. This costume cost me less than 20 bucks to make, so I'm really not going to complain too much about the fabric color being off. And I just keep thinking to myself, sorry, I can't talk. My aura's never been pinker. That's what I just keep telling myself in the head when I see this one, like the super pink aura Tylee. Oh, who forgot who had the sewing machine problem? Ace. Yes. Also, if you have the wrong size bobbin in, like the plastic bobbin that goes in there, if it's not the correct one for the machine, even though it looks right, it might be slightly wrong because some of them have a curve to the top, some are flat, some are like, it could also be the plastic bobbin inside. There's so many weird little factors, but if you take your sewing machine in to get service, they'll help you. Austin Lips, are you going to be with Odin this Sunday, Felicia? Yes, I am going to help Odin this weekend on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the at SAC Anime in the cosplay repair booth. So I'm going to be helping people fix their cosplays and probably hanging out there the whole time. Because the last time I've gone to the con with Odin, I just more or less stayed at the cosplay repair booth and help people all day. So I plan on being there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I also plan on just like popping in on a live stream, probably all 3 days just for a little bit. So you guys can keep an eye open for that so you guys can see what's going on at the live stream. Because I already talked to Odin. He's gonna bring a hotspot, a mobile hotspot. I'm bringing my laptop with me, and we already talked about how feasible it would be. So far it's a go. So we are not going to be live streaming on Odin's channel. Let me just put this. Speaking of bobbins, mine needs to get rethreaded. We're not going to be streaming this Sunday. We were supposed to stream last Sunday, but we had a crazy storm like this one we're having now. And where Odin, the media center is that we usually film Odin's live streams at, it was without power. I don't think they ever quite got power fully back, and now it's storming again. Why is this going funny? Let me try it one more time. Goes this way. So this upcoming Sunday we wouldn't be streaming normally, but the next following Sunday we would have been streaming. Because of the storm, my connection is unstable, so it might not be recorded. It looks like I lost the internet. So the stream may be over. I don't know. So H7O Polo says connection is fine. Thank you guys for letting me know, because it is saying that my connection is unstable. So I may lose internet or power at any point. So just giving you forewarning if that is the case. So, okay, you guys can see me. Yes, Iana, last time we didn't do a live stream at SAC Anime, and we're not going to be doing it on Odin's channel, but I am going to do it on this channel. So, to just give it a try, be a little more informal. So, that is the plan. Okay, trim up my threads. Okay. And we have 2 cuffs. Yep. 2 nice comfortable cuffs. I'll probably scrunch them because I don't like them on my forearms. I think it's more comfortable on my wrist. So, yay! This is my wrist cuffs. I have... The only thing I'm missing is shoes. I'm not going to make a pair of shoes for this. I probably am just going to wear a pair of ballet flats and call it a day. I might make a scrunchie for this, but I think that's a maybe, and I probably won't live stream that, but I think I'm actually done for this cosplay. Yay! I'm not going to put it on right now. I'm not in anything that I could change into that, but you guys can see this completed cosplay at the con, and I'll live stream in it so you guys can see it. Yeah, I just kind of have to go through, cut all my threads, make sure it's all pressed, but I'm done. Is that it then? Yes, it is. You called it. So, was that something you guys enjoyed, me doing a last minute cosplay for this con? I know I still have 2 days. 4th, 5th, and 6th. So it's not till the 6th. So I still have time, and that wasn't a super... a lot of things could have gone differently, and I could have written at a time. So at least it's done. Yay! I definitely made it with some time. And yeah. Any questions before I go? That was crazy. Yeah, this is a giant needle. My dress form's a giant pincushion. So, yep, and that's the plan. I plan on being at SAC Anime this weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And Friday I'm going to dress up as Wednesday. Saturday I'm going to wear this. And then Sunday I'm going to wear the Catcher costume that I made with Odin. So I will see you guys this weekend. I won't be live streaming tomorrow or
Yeah, I won't be live streaming tomorrow, but I'll be here on Friday. Yes, Eonalith, it means you get to go to bed early. Thank you for staying up late with me. I appreciate that. Not top, great, nice job. The outfit looks cool. Thank you. I think it's gonna be great. So thank you guys again for joining me. For all this crazy, I gotta trim my threads, and I will see you this weekend. Bye. And